I just picked up this new bike yesterday and I think I'm in love. It's a 2023 Triumph Scrambler 1200 XC in the matte green. What an absolute beaut. My gosh, it's so windy. It's blowing my camera and you're probably getting all sorts of wind noise. I apologize. Now this is not a review of this bike and please don't take it that way. This is really a first impressions. Again, I just got this bike yesterday. I've probably only put 10 miles on it, but today we're gonna go talk about it, look it over, and then go for our first ride and talk about some of the pros and cons. But you might be asking, why the heck did I get a 2023 Scrambler? Number one, why didn't I go ahead with the 2024 version? I feel like the X Triumph, the new X version of the 1200, feels a little bit more basic than the older XC. But even other than that, I got this bike for such a great deal. I got it cheaper than my Transalp. There's only 900 miles on this whenever I bought it, one owner, and it is absolutely spotless. And as you're looking over, there's plenty of mods. They got the windscreen on it, the what do you call the bar end mirrors, which I'm not sure I'm going to keep. I might go to the classic ones. I don't know. I've never been a bar end fan. The crash bars are on it here. You got the fender extender. Coming back here, you got the Hepco and Becker, if I'm saying that right, the rack. And then the bag is also on here as well. I love this bag, and it's got that C-clamp mount. The only things I've done to it so far is slap a tank bag, my phone mount, and then my screen protectors. But you all know me, I do already have my eyes on a couple mods. I actually already ordered the USB little plug outlet power adapter for up here. I am going to order the upper crash bars as well, and I'm debating changing out the tires. But I'm not too sure on the tires yet, as these come with the Metzeler Tourants. They got a little bit, which might be able to handle some gravel. Come up here to the front, you can see there's not much depth to that right there, but I think they'll get most of the work done. And that comes to one of my reasons of why I got a Scrambler, is I wasn't looking for that big ADV bike again, right? I've had the Africa Twin, the Triumph Tiger 900 Rally Pro, the KTM, so on and so forth. And when I get on those big bikes and I get off-road, as many of you can probably relate, we tend to get ourselves in trouble. Those are heavy, those are just a handful. I'm not saying this is light, this is incredibly heavy, but I don't intend to take this off-road and do the Smoky 500 or anything like that. I'll do the occasional dirt road and such, fire road, and that's about it. But I wanted something that I can ride and just tour older towns. Y'all know I love small old towns, and that's what I wanted here. And then again, to take that little dirt road cut if I want to. Now the Triumph Scrambler was not the first bike on my list. It's always been on my wish list. I've always wanted one, but they are a little bit pricier. But again, with the price I got this for used, you just couldn't pass it up, even with the mods and the condition. You know, it was phenomenal. But what I was actually looking at was the Honda SCL 500, their new Scrambler type. I was talking to the dealer and I was about to go up there and buy one. But when I started looking at it, I'm like, 500, yeah, that's manageable around town, but I want to do a little more than that. And if I have to jump on the interstate, I can do that with this. And this has all the whistles I like as far as cruise control and stuff. But I still do really love that Honda SCL 500. I really hope Honda releases one at 1100, maybe with a DCT. That would be incredibly awesome. But I mean, come on, let's be real here. Does anybody do Scrambler better than Triumph? I mean, in my book, no joke, just because I own this, I'm not saying this, I think the Triumph Scramblers are the absolute best looking Scramblers in the book. They are absolutely gorgeous. Oh my gosh, it just feels like you're getting ripped off this bike. There is so much power. So here we are on my first ride on the 2023 Scrambler 1200 XC version here. And just like I stated there, holy smokes, there is so much power. Like even right now, even though I'm only going 50 in fifth gear and you just pull it back and it just, wow, it is snappy. I think if there's one bike I can compare it to, not even much the Africa Twin, which is maybe the most similar as far as engine, but the Rebel, the Honda Rebel I had before. I had a manual and a DCT version, and that's exactly what this one feels like. It just pulls you no matter which gear you're in. Now we'll tell you right here, coming into just a slight little twisty section, you really feel the weight of this bike. And I don't know what it is. It's a little bit slimmer, that wheelbase. You got that 21 up front, and it is a heavy bike. And I don't know, I'm just, you know, obviously I'm not used to it. This is our first ride, but even yesterday when I took it for the quick little spin, it was just, you feel that weight when you're in the twisties right there. But what I want to mention, coming off the highway, again, doing about 70 miles an hour, that's one thing I'm not very fond of, or should we say used to. I'm going to say fond of. I don't like getting beat up by the wind, right? Like we all like getting on our bikes and feeling the wind and, you know, just feeling in tune with it when you're riding. but I don't like feeling like I'm getting ripped off the bike. And with me back there going about 70 miles an hour, I did feel like I was getting ripped off the bike. Not so much on my legs, even though we don't got tons of wind blockage like a big ADV bike, which I'm used to. And this little windscreen's not doing too much. I'm still feeling it up on my chest, definitely on my helmet. Like when I look around to, you know, change lanes, I feel it kind of pull me. And that's never been something I've been really fond of. So I don't know, maybe a bigger screen. I really like the look of this small, just sleek screen. It doesn't look, you know, really crazy. It really gives it that nice classic type of vibe. So I don't know, if you got any recommendations, let me know down in the comments. But right now, we're gonna put it in off-road mode and just test a little fire road, just basic simple gravel. Holy moly, I gotta get used to this throttle response here. Again, it just wants to pull you off if you accidentally give it a little bit too much of a twisteroo. But anyways, testing this out here, we're in off-road mode, just seeing, and so far, not too bad. Again, I got the stock tires on, which, again, aren't the best. I could do something like this, and honestly, this is probably the extent of off-roading I plan or even want to do with this bike. I don't want to go do something like the Smoky 500 or BDRs or anything crazy. I don't. This is 70% an on-road bike for me. I will tell you right here on this, we're getting a little bit looser. You can see the light clipping on up top there with the traction control. And each time, it's pretty accurate. Each time that comes on, I do feel it just kind of like settle down and try to catch itself a little bit. But nothing intrusive by any means, nothing like the Transalp at all. And these tires are honestly holding their own, but I think that has a lot to do with how heavy this bike is. What is it, like 450 or 480 or something? I mean, it's a heifer for sure, and you do feel it, right? So you're not gonna be wanting coming out here cutting these turns and going all sorts of crazy. Let's get some giddy up and see what we can get. Oh my goodness, wow, let me slow down. Whew. Okay. Yeah, I'm not too used to the bike yet, but right there, just perfectly planted and good to go. You know, the other screen I showed you, I like the aesthetics of this one here, but the other one I can tell my speed a lot easier. This one you got to kind of, all right, where's that bar? And then you check your speed up there. I want to try one other thing while we're right here on our first little off-road type of test. I want to put it into my riding mode. Oh, shnikes, there's that weight. Okay, so I just, these action cameras never pick it up. So the road's right there. I pulled to the side in case the car needed to pick. The ground's a little bit lower, and I tried to catch myself, and whew, I really felt the weight right there. Anyways, let's go on. I want to go to my mode. Ooh, there goes that back tire. Okie dokie. Wow. That's the thing that I think that would scare me a little bit right now until I get used to the bike with traction control off. Is again that power delivery is holy smokes. Again, this is definitely the most powerful bike I've ridden. I've owned multiple, I think 2 or 3 Rebel 1100s, DCT manual versions, my Africa Twin, and none of them felt like this. Like this is, woof. I mean, it is something you got to experience. I can sit here and talk about it, but oh my goodness, I might want to put this in rain mode while I'm learning how to ride it. But yeah, for sure, with the traction control completely off, not even in off-road mode, you definitely feel more in tuned with the road right there. Again, maybe once I get used to the throttle response, I'll switch over to traction control off. Because wow, you're totally in tune and locked into the road. But got to get used to this first. Now I want to stop and take a quick breather, pop the visor up, get a little bit of air, and show you some of the controls up here, which Triumph does controls amazing. They do them absolutely perfect. Number one, they all light up at night so you can actually see what you're actually pressing. But the other cool thing, this is the first time I've used this on a bike, is a push button start. So the key is in my jacket pocket here. I can just press the power button as you see right up there. The bike is going to load up. Good morning, 1001 miles. You got your intro screen and all that. Then we're going to grab the clutch, and then you press this down once, which actually activates the bike, I guess. We'll hold it, and it fires up. And again, the key's in my pocket. That is so stinking cool. Now, as far as the gas, you still got to get your key for the gas and everything. And actually, if you can see it down here, you actually got a spot for the key as well down there, which I don't know. Is that just to lock the bars? Haven't tried that yet. I don't know if you can start the bike with the key. Got to look into that. I didn't get a manual. You got this little joystick, which I do catch myself trying to use that for like the blinker sometimes when it's actually up here. I don't know. That's just something I get used to with the Triumph. The other thing, back here, you have your high beam, and you have your cruise control, which is a one-button cruise control. So you don't adjust your speed or anything. It's just wherever you're at, bam, you press it, you're good to go. Now this button up here, let me go on and fire this back up here. I want to ask you guys a question. What is that button for? My guess, that symbol, is fog lights, right? And whenever I come up here, if we fire the bike on, you see nothing's there? Press it, and then that green light comes up. My guess is fog lights. So is this bike like automatically wired for a plug and play set of fog lights? Whenever I press it, again, it does nothing besides change that. So if you know, please let me know, because again, I didn't get a manual with this bike. Got to do a little bit more research, but if that's a plug and play fog light, man, that's super awesome. Now, as far as riding, the position and feel of this bike, other than power, I will tell you the riding position, I catch myself leaning forward a slight bit. Now, if I come up onto the tank, which is, again, a little excessive, I'm a little more straight up. I like kind of being out a little bit, and I feel myself leaning. So I think bar risers might do nice. Every single bike I've had, I think I've pretty much put bar risers on them, but it's not bad by any means. So I don't know. I'm going to have to stew on that one for a little bit. The other thing is the exhaust down here. The biggest thing you'll hear about is the heat from that exhaust. And we've been riding for a little bit right now. Again, it is incredibly windy, so that might be helping out, but I don't feel the heat. I don't feel it right now. Now, when I'm standing still, if I come to a stop and I put my feet down and my leg is resting right on it, yes, then I do feel it. It's not burning by any means, but it's going to get warm. Now, the seat on this bike is incredibly comfortable, and to my knowledge, it is a stock one. It's not the lower one or the higher one by any means, which, talking about height, this bike still feels pretty tall. Let me get up here to the side, and I'm going to stop on the side, and I'm going to show you here. Let me go on and shift down, because the XC is actually even taller. No one's behind us, right? So if I get like this, I can flat foot it, as you see, but the seat is wider, so I definitely feel it on my inner thighs. I'm right at 6 feet. I think my inseam's, what is it, 32 or 33, something like that. So again, with the seat being wider, I definitely feel it pressing out my legs a little bit more, but I can flat foot it. But again, I don't have like that solid weight pressed down. So that goes for another reasons why I didn't want the XE, other than the increase of price, right? I think the XC does pretty much everything I want as far as the height and the off-road capability, which is pretty darn similar. Like, what are you really going to do on the XE compared to the XC if you're off-road? So now that I got my first ride underneath my belt, some nice road, a little bit of twisty, a little bit of off-road, what do I honestly think? And there's a few things here, pros and cons. Number one, it's incredibly heavy, and yes, you do feel that weight. You really do. But I think the biggest thing, even other than the weight, because I'm used to big, heavy bikes, right, as we all know, but the biggest thing is the wind. Now, this windscreen's incredibly low, and it really just takes the, wind off my phone and my bag. It doesn't really do anything as far as my chest. I feel that wind beat me up a lot. There's not much wind blockage down here, but there is enough on the legs. But the biggest thing is as far as the chest. So I got to look into maybe a taller windshield. I think if it was up to here, that would be nice. But right now, again, I do feel like I'm slightly getting ripped off the bike. But then again, that also goes in line with this engine. And as I stated, this is the most powerful bike I've ever ridden before. So with the combination of the wind, how, I don't want to say it's snappy, but again, how that power just goes to you with the throttle, this engine, the wind, all of that is just, I think, something I really need to get used to. Now, the other thing, as I mentioned before, the tires, I was talking about replacing them. Actually, at home, I have a couple sets sitting in a cart that I was going to buy, but with that little bit of off-road that we did, which is pretty much all I'll do, it did perfectly fine, and they're really nice on the road, so I honestly might keep these tires and just wear them down, and once I need a replacement, then go on and swap them out. The other thing, like I said, I'm going to get the taller crash bars or the upper crash bars, but the one thing I'm not sure about is this Hepco and Becker bag on the back. Now, it's a fantastic bag. You got this nice like rubber outside here, this molly bit. It actually wraps down there to make it waterproof, and it just attaches great. It actually costs, I think this whole setup's roughly around $300, so I'd hate to just take it off when it's already on there as it's serving a perfect purpose, but the look doesn't go. It's a little bit more modern than I'd like to go as far as with the bike. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down there. Should I remove this and get a different, more retro style one, or keep it? And one other thing that I'm not too sure about are these bar end mirrors. Let me know what you guys think about those. You know, the regular ones come up and they're up over here. They got a little more retro vibe, but they're also bigger and they don't got this blue tint on here. I don't know. What do you guys think? I feel myself having to look down to look at the mirrors, which I don't like. I kind of like keeping my eyes on the road. Bam, my mirror's right there, and I can still see what's in front of me as I'm seeing what's behind me. When down here, I feel like I'm looking down. Again, maybe just something I need to get used to, but let me know what you guys think of bar end mirrors as well. So now that we're back from the first ride and my initial impressions of this motorcycle, I gotta say it again, and I'm sure I've said it 20 times or more already, is this bike looks so good. It is absolutely stunning. Again, that's personal preference, but I think it is absolutely jaw-dropping gorgeous. It has so much personality and just pizzazz and uniqueness to it, and that's really connects with me. Now you also might be wondering, what is this bike gonna be on the channel? What is it for the channel? And you know, that was going through my mind a lot whenever I was buying it or even out riding it, or even now, right? It's like on YouTube, you're always out for the next big thing, the clicks, what's gonna grow your channel, right? The Transalp, again, being a bike I wanted to cover just for coverage. You know, it's a hot new thing out there, so it's gonna get a lot of hype, a lot of clicks, a lot of growth. With it connecting with me so much, it's just something I wanna ride. I wanna have fun, and I think that's what it's gonna be for the channel is, maybe we introduce rides and we go check out those small towns like I love doing and just get out there and not so much off-road adventure, but just adventure. Have those chats like we used to do back in the days. Again, they're not the click generating or the subscriber generating type videos, but I really enjoy doing them. And I think maybe that's what this will be right here. I think we're gonna have a good time on this and check out some cool places, just have a really good time on it. So I hope you do subscribe and join me for a few of these adventures as well. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please hit that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I hope I see you around. Bye now.